In the past year, the fashion world has been fundamentally shaken up. With the rise of brands like Supreme, Bape, and Off-White, there's been an unprecedented rise in the popularity of streetwear and mainstream fashion. What was once a small boutique brand for skaters has turned into an international sensation. With this, sneaker collecting and reselling has exploded from a niche community to a part of the mainstream. Brands like Adidas have exploded onto the scene, but instead of having their sneakers promoted by athletes, they're promoted by pop culture icons like Kanye West and Pharrell Williams. Never before has there been such an interest in streetwear and sneakers, and consequently with the brands that carry them. Now, there is an entire market of sneakers fueled by money, power, and Instagram likes. A brand name has always carried a premium, but now more than ever does that brand name carry so much more meaning. In this episode, we will examine what has caused this sudden rise and what its future holds. Welcome to Beavercast. Today, our guest is Owen Coutts. Owen Coutts is a sophomore at Ballard High School, and he recently started reselling sneakers and clothing. So how would you define streetwear?
Well, I would define streetwear as the clothing and the styles, the brands that pop culture embraces. Because really, what you know, the artists and the musicians and whatnot, what they're wearing is kind of what's popular. And streetwear, it's also a culture, but there is a pretty loose definition. I mean, anything can really qualify as streetwear, whether it's a really small local brand or whether it's a big worldwide brand. But really, streetwear is just about what you wear and what's considered fashionable, pretty much.
Okay, and then why do you buy what you buy?
Well, I buy what I buy, either because I really like the way that it looks or I really like the quality of it. For example, I buy the Ultra Boost. I bought them for a Kanye hat. I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I wasn't part of that hype. But I bought them because I genuinely really like their comfort when I'm running, and I don't think any other shoe on the market really can match up to that. And then there's tees, I was at the store Bait, which is in Capitol Hill the other day, and their tees aren't the nicest quality, right? But one had a really cool Street Fighter graphic on it, and I really liked that, so I went ahead and got it. Mm-hmm. So either if I really like the way it looks, or if I really like the quality, and I genuinely enjoy wearing it, not just, I don't wear stuff just so I can fit in, right? Like, if I really like a piece, then I'll try to get that for myself, but I don't want to be part of that wave of kids that only want to fit in and will wear whatever they have to fit in, even if they don't really like or enjoy what they're wearing.
Okay. When did you first become interested in sneakers, and what sparked that interest?
Well, I know back in around the third grade when I just started playing basketball, the new shoe was the Hyperdunk at the time, and I remember I always used to play in these crappy shoes, so I was always kind of infatuated with that nicer shoe. And I know when I first got it, that really sparked my passion for shoes. And I wanted to always be getting what I thought was the cool shoe. And it really sparked my interest in sneakers. And I started to really take care of my shoes and buy more and collect and sell and trade them.
Yeah. So I know you've had some other ventures in sneakers too. Would you care to elaborate on those?
Yeah. Well, I've had what I used to do is, and what I still do actually, is buy nice shoes and look at them as investments. So I can wear a really cool pair of kicks, and then after I'm done wearing them, or when I grow out of them, I can sell them and get a pretty decent return on my money. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. So what would you say, when you saw the Hyperdunks and stuff, like what first attracted you to them? Did you see someone cool wearing them, or what was it?
Well, that's a really good question. I think I love the shape and the comfort and the feel of the shoes. It's almost a hard feeling to describe, but I know a certain pair of shoes just bring back a nostalgia and really make me feel good about wearing them. Mm-hmm. And I know, first of all, they're great for basketball. Yeah. But I used to just love the way they looked in field.
Yeah. Okay. And it was basically just how they looked. So
it was both too, because I know the shoes I used to have weren't very comfortable. Yeah. Then when I tried these Hyperdunks, I was like, wow, these are great shoes. Yeah. And for just a little bit more money, definitely worth it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So, and then when did you first start selling shoes?
Oh, well, I first started selling shoes when I started to get nicer and nicer shoes. Instead of either beating them into the ground or just getting rid of them, I would just start to resell them after I was done wearing them, because that was a nice way where I could get the next pair of shoes and not take a big loss on money.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you're like, when you buy a nice pair of shoes, you're making an investment, and when you buy really nice anything, like, you're going to have that for a long time, and you know that you can sell that and make more money to buy something better.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's really interesting how sneaker culture has changed in the past few years, because it used to be basically it was just Jordans and it was kind of underground really, and now it's really blown up into the mainstream with places like Grailed and StockX and Go. And I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, first of all, I do have a nerve to take with Jordans. I used to love Jordans. I thought the quality was great, especially in the ones probably pre-2010. But now I'm looking at them, and man, they're charging over $200 for some flimsy paper leather Jordans. It's just not worth it to me anymore. If I'm going to buy Jordans, I'm going to buy the quality ones that were older. But, I mean, the game has definitely changed. It used to be more local, and you'd buy shoes from your friends, and they'd be really good quality, or you'd find a pair online, like eBay maybe. But now with all these new sites, there's so many more ways to buy these shoes, and I think the selling and buying process has definitely got a lot better with more options and more protection for both the buyers and the sellers. But really, it's just the quality and it's the overall attitude around the sneaker culture, I feel like has really changed.
Yeah, and I think there's kind of been a move from like, yeah, you want to get the dopest shoes, but like now you want to make a lot of money off of it too. And like people like you, not to call anybody out, but like you're making a lot of money off of this.
Yeah.
And like it's really interesting to see how this has actually turned into a business too.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's so many people that want these shoes. I mean, well, first of all, there's you can pretty much capitalize off anything, but especially with shoes that are limited and that a ton of people want. I mean, it's just basic supply and demand. If there's a limited supply and a ton of people want them, then there's money to be made there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, I mean, what do you think is the driving force behind this?
Well, by the driving force, I mean the driving force behind just like
this general shift from like sneaker culture and like streetwear culture, going from kind of an underground scene to something that's like more of a niche scene into something that's completely mainstream.
Well, I think with social media becoming bigger and bigger, like I mean, you saw Instagram popped up in 2010, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
And I mean, after that point, really, everything's blown up because now pretty much everyone's on Instagram and everyone's following their favorite artists and musicians or whatnot, and they see them wearing these shoes and promoting these shoes. And it's
also, yeah, actually, I'd like to bring that out because it used to be like, oh, you see Michael Jordan wearing these shoes and you're like, I want to buy them. But now you see Kanye wearing the shoes and you're like, oh, I got to get those, you know?
Yeah. But I think social media has really helped bring around the spread of the culture. Mm-hmm. And also, I think companies have really capitalized off that. And it's gone both ways. I know Nike, I think, like I was saying, Jordans, the quality has just went downhill and the prices have skyrocketed.
Well, I mean, they realize they can really make a huge profit off of this.
So I think where the niche is really is companies like Adidas, who came out with the Ultra Boost, or even companies like Saucony, which I saw you wearing today, and I have a pair too. They're just super high quality, and they're able to appeal to people that don't want to spend that $230 for a pair of not so nice shoes when they could go find not necessarily a lesser brand, but just a more slept-on brand where they can spend a lot less and get something that they honestly will feel better about wearing.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think with Jordan, you're really paying for the brand. You're paying for the Jumpman thing, yeah. And also, in a different vein, too, you've seen a really big explosion of, like, luxury fashion kind of into the mainstream market, like with the Louis Vuitton Supreme collab, and just, like, how you see kids, like, freshmen at Ballard wearing Gucci belts all the time.
Yeah, I mean, most of them are fake, but yeah.
Yeah, no, there's a huge desire to, like, fit in with this kind of idea that you have to, like, spend all your money and have all this clout, you know?
Yeah.
So I think what I was thinking about is with the explosion of, like, hip-hop into the mainstream, and fashion has always had a big role in hip-hop, what do you think that has played in sneakers?
Well, I think that's played a huge role both in sneakers and fashion, because I know a ton of artists and just pretty affluent figures are always getting these signature deals, right? So even when it's athletes, I mean, I would consider that part of hip-hop culture, but you have athletes like Kobe or LeBron doing these big collaborations with the huge brands, and people would much rather buy a basketball shoe with LeBron's name on it than just the unbranded basketball shoe.
Yeah, definitely.
So they've definitely helped promoted the brand, and even with fashion, I mean, like you'll see Supreme does photo tees, right, with pretty big artists, and I wouldn't say that generates major hype, but it's just the integration of the fashion and sneaker industries into the hip hop culture, and that really drives the hype around it. Because if you see your favorite artist,
well, and also if you hear it too, like basically every Migos song, like you're mentioning, like how much you're spending, like
what you're wearing,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely also like just mentioning it, and they're all these artists are about that life, right? And if you like or respect or enjoy listening to whatever those artists produce, then you're definitely gonna probably want to be like them or be inspired by them. And if you see them wearing this or that, then you're probably gonna want to wear this or that too, and that really helps drive these big brands.
So do you think there's anything that's prior to this that has kind of existed where we kind of, I mean, we've already always kind of looked up to celebrities as like people we should kind of emulate, but it seems like now more than ever we want to fit in with this idea that you have to like buy expensive clothing and expensive sneakers.
Yeah, I definitely say there are like two types of people. The people that just want to like look cool and will wear. I mean, I see kids all the time, like when I go to Bait or whatever, and they're just wearing the most ridiculous fits. Like they're just taking the most expensive stuff they own, throwing it all together. I mean, they probably, I don't know if they enjoy wearing it or not. I mean, they don't look good, and they really just want to like flex on people, right? But then there's the people that genuinely enjoy the products for either their quality or they actually really enjoy how they look. They just don't want to fit in or show off.
Yeah, well, it's interesting how the idea of hypebeast has kind of moved as something that you don't want to be to something that's really accepted now in sneaker culture.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah, on that, I mean, I definitely agree with that. It's also kind of sad because I know, especially with Supreme, people don't really know like the heritage behind a lot of what they're buying. If they do a collaboration with a movie or whatnot, the kids haven't seen the movie.
Yeah, like the Scarface.
Yeah. Scarface is one of my favorite movies. I've seen it probably like 4 times or so. I think it's an awesome film, but I mean, most of the kids that were buying the Supreme Scarface stuff, hadn't seen the movie and they just wanted it because it had Supreme on it in big letters.
Yeah, I mean, you're buying it because it says Supreme on it. Yeah. So where do you think the future is going to go with this?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. I don't really know, to be honest, but I really hope some brands do figure it out because, especially Nike. I mean, Nike and Jordan just really aren't doing it for me. I mean, what they've been doing is mass producing the really crappy shoes that no one wants, and then the really nice shoes everyone wants, like the Atmos Air Max 1s. I know like over 1 million people voted to bring those back for Air Max Day last year. They only made like 100,000 pairs.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I think I actually made way less than that, but it's ridiculous because what they're doing is they're just mass producing the crappy shoes no one wants to buy, and the shoes that people actually want to wear for themselves are instantly sold out, and that creates kind of a whack resale market where kids are buying like the newest general release Jordans and making like $5 off them, and then the shoes that people actually want are going for like $300 over what they originally were asking for them.
And I think, yeah, just to add to like the idea of the resale market's whack, like I feel like it kind of used to be like you bought the stuff yourself, but now it's like people are using like their mom's credit card and going out and like spending $1,000 on Supreme. And it used to be like you got to work your way up.
Yeah, definitely.
But now you can just go out and buy everything and like think you're fly, but you're really, I mean, you're just buying stuff with your mom's credit card.
And I mean, if you're just buying stuff to resell it and you're not really wearing anything, then you're not really part of the culture. I mean, if you're gonna rock all of your stuff, then you're definitely like you're committed and you're serious about it. But if you just buy stuff to resell, like I know in the last release, I was trying to get a few tees, right, after I got some other stuff, but I went
on
back.
The last Supreme drop?
Yeah, I the second to last, and I couldn't get any of them. But then when I went to go look how much they were selling for, like they didn't sell out that fast, so I didn't really think that they were going to be reselling for a whole lot. I see them on eBay and stuff for like $70. I'm like, I'm just not going to pay $70 for that t-shirt, right? Like, I'd happily pay retail for it, but you got kids out here flipping for $70, and after fees and shipping, they're really only bringing home around $5 or $10.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to ask yourself, is it worth it to make someone pay like $40 more for a t-shirt that they actually want, or is it worth it for me to just make like a quick buck?
Yeah, definitely. Do you think this is good for sneaker culture?
I honestly don't. I mean, I think the brands could definitely fix it. I'm not necessarily saying that they should make a ton more of limited stuff because that would ruin the hype around their brand. And I mean, you go from Supreme to like H&M. But I think what they should do is listen more to their customers, and if there's something their customers really want, then they should provide to their customers. Because I mean, making shoes. I'm like if you're gonna make a really coveted pair of shoes that everyone wants, I mean, if you're only making like 100 pairs, really all you have in mind is the resellers, because they're the only ones that are going to buy them, and they're the only ones that are actually going to enjoy them. And then celebrities, of course. But if you see a shoe like that everyone wants, I mean, maybe just, once every couple times, make enough so everyone can have a pair.
Yeah, I think, well, it's interesting, too, because this happened with the Ultra Boost, too, because I remember people were really complaining, like, all over Reddit and stuff, like, why can't Adidas make more of these? Yeah. And then as soon as they make more of them, they're like, oh, we can't wear Ultra Boosts anymore. Yeah. Everybody has them.
No, dude, I love Ultra Boosts. I mean, I got the first 3 pairs that came out. I think they were the triple blacks, the triple whites, and the creams. And then the 4th pair I got was the wool grays. But I mean, I love the shoe. It's a super
I know, it's a great shoe.
What would be really cool of them to do is just come out with like 1 or 2 pairs. They're not like the super hideous ones that they like kind of remake.
Yeah.
But the like OGs, and just make them so everyone can have them.
I think there was a Kanye quote, and he's like, I want everybody to have Yeezys.
Yeah.
And I think like the end goal is to give everybody the shoe, but it's kind of how you get there, which gets tricky.
Yeah, well, I mean, they have been making moves, because if you saw what he did with Nike, I mean, those were some of the most limited shoes ever.
Yeah, oh
like,
my gosh.
Especially
the Red Octobers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, those dropped randomly and they sold out in seconds. But he is releasing more and more shoes to his fans, which I definitely think is cool, and that's the right direction to go. It's super cool to have limited stuff once in a while, but if people want something, then I would provide, just for the sake of my brand image.
Do you think it's easier now to get into the game than it was before? Because I feel like, I mean, with the use of the internet and stuff, you can sell anywhere, and basically you don't have to know anybody.
Oh, yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. I mean, especially with social media, you pretty much, it's all there for you, all the tools you need.
Yeah, and PayPal too.
Yeah, and all the new payment methods and ways to sell shoes. It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to do, but I think kids are definitely starting to abuse that and only sell for profit. Like if they'll take a general release pair of Jordans for like $220 and go that sold out in probably like 5 minutes, which is pretty slow for shoes, and they'll be, or even longer actually, like maybe even a couple hours, and they'll go put them on the aftermarket for like $280. So if people like
people did with that with like the Pure Money 4s.
Yeah, if people were at work or whatever and they missed out on a pair and they wanted to like go get them after when they got home and they realized they're sold out a couple hours later and they go to buy them in the aftermarket, I mean they have to pay like anywhere from $50 to $100 more, which I mean.
Because I sold a pair of shoes. I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and like I was messaging this guy on Facebook, and I had already sold the shoes basically, but I probably could have taken them back, and he was offering me like $20 more, and like it was just like, I don't know, it felt like he could have gotten the shoes for cheaper, but he was deliberately offering me more, and I don't know, like, and he was offering me like $400 too.
Yeah, no, it's people. It's weird what people will do. I mean, I haven't been doing this for a whole lot of time, so I can't really vouch for, like, let's say 5 or 10 years ago. But I know that it's definitely went more mainstream, and there's definitely a rush to make that extra $5.
Definitely. No, in a different vein, this is kind of not towards sneakers, but how do you think like luxury brands and streetwear in general has kind of penetrated this mainstream market with H&M and Zara and Uniqlo all making these products that you would only see from like luxury fashion houses or like weird underground brands?
Well, yeah, I mean, these smaller companies are definitely able to capitalize off the hype around the luxury brands because, I mean, the luxury brands, like if you're talking about like Louis or like Gucci or even like Bedimins or just any brand that just has like Off-White has expensive.
Off-White. Yeah, we could have a whole conversation about Off-White.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a market there because if they're making a cool shirt that is, appealing to people, it just costs $400 for a cotton t-shirt, right? Like not that many people can pay $400 for a cotton t-shirt. So these smaller brands are like, hey, well, if you like that style, we'll give it to you for like $10.
Yeah.
And that's where they take influence from the bigger brands and also make pretty good living for themselves.
Well, it's really interesting. I think like I don't really think streetwear is here to stay. I think it's just kind of a passing fad. And it's weird how it's really boomed in the fashion industry right now.
I would have to disagree. I think it's here to stay. I think
wait, what, maybe rephrase that as I don't think it's here to stay in the mainstream, but I think it will always persist.
I mean, I think as long as you have pop culture, I think there's always going to be that niche for what the pop stars are wearing, pretty much. I think it's definitely going to change a lot. How it's going to change, I don't really know. I mean, you see brands like Supreme, like selling half their company to much bigger like venture capitalist groups or whatever, who are probably going to try to blow the brand up and make as much money as they can off of it. which could do a couple things. I mean, people could the brand could die because people are only in it for the hype and they're only in it for the super exclusive, limited, whatever. Or people could stick with the brand because they genuinely like the products and don't really care how much they're worth.
Yeah. So I think it's really interesting how skater culture too has kind of permeated this mainstream with Supreme and Palace, who originally started out as skate brands, kind of pushing their way, and now like they've basically just taken over the mainstream market.
Yeah, well, that's a really good observation, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, I know a lot of skaters. I personally don't skate. I used to a little bit, but I never really took it that seriously.
Oh, yeah, we both used to.
Yeah, but I know a lot of skaters look at those brands and just kind of make fun of them. And if you wear that, like, you're a poser or whatever, because of the hype and the price. And a lot of people look at them like sellouts, kind of. But really what they're doing is just appealing to a larger variety of people, right? Like, you don't have to be a skater to wear, like, a certain cotton t-shirt with a cool graphic on it. Like, maybe if you're going to buy the Supreme wheels or whatever, then, I mean, do what you want to do. If you really like those wheels, then go for it. But what they've done is they've catered to a larger variety of people, and that's allowed them to take over the streetwear industry.
Yeah, well, I think also, like, people who have kind of been in it from the beginning are getting mad because they saw it as, like, their kind of underground brand that they didn't really know, anybody else didn't really know about. And then other people are coming in, they kind of see them as outsiders, and they're, like, attacking their personal culture, you know? Yeah,
well, I think that's kind of selfish because,
I
mean, a brand can't just be for a certain type of people, right? That's not very fair or equitable, right? If someone wants to wear a shirt, they can wear that shirt, and, I mean, you can judge them all you want, but you shouldn't harass them for it or call them out or whatever. You should just accept that that's what they like and that's what they get to do, and you guys can have your differences, but you don't have to fight about it.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting with brands like Stussy too, where they've been around for longer than Supreme. James Jebbia, like the founder of Supreme, was actually a Stussy store manager, I think.
Yeah, he helped bring it to New York, yeah.
And it's really interesting how some people have seen Stussy as like a sellout, but at the same time, they're still making incredible pieces. Yeah. And I think a lot of, and it's really easy to get. And I think I love, like, almost everything they make.
Yeah, no, their stuff's dope. I mean, you go in there.
Even though you can buy it at, like, the mall and stuff and at Zoomies, like, it doesn't make it not dope, you know?
Like, that is a really good example of a brand. It doesn't necessarily sell out in 2 seconds, but it still generates a lot.
I mean, like, they sold out, but they didn't, like...
Oh, yeah.
They didn't, like, destroy their brand. Like, they're still making that same stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, I go to their store all the time, and, like, they have good deals, too. It's like, I go in their store once in a while, and it's like, oh, two for, like, 30 or 2 for 40 on tees.
Yeah.
They make good quality stuff. So it's a good deal, and they have some nice graphics, and I think that's cool. I mean, I wouldn't wear it just because it says Stussy on it. I wouldn't buy a shirt that just has a big Stussy logo on it, but they have, like, I know the last thing I bought was, like, a cool, like, beach graphic. On like a light blue tee, and that I really like that
it's
tee.
Really dope. Yeah,
and I wouldn't spend $200 for that, but I bought it for like I think it was like $20, and for a nice quality tee that I really like. It doesn't have super huge branding on it. It's a good deal.
Yeah, and I think just to go off the branding thing, I think the power of a brand is higher than ever right now because. For the box logo releases, for people who don't know, a box logo tee is something that Supreme releases where it's literally a box with Supreme in it on a cotton t-shirt.
Yeah.
Or sweatshirt. It depends. And people will go crazy over it.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, arguably, it's like the most hyped drop of the season, usually.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I know, like, my tee over there on the shelf I have, the Bling Box logo. I do...
How much did you pay for that?
I got that for $200.
Okay.
Which was a pretty good deal. They're probably worth around, like, $250. And I think it's a really cool piece. I'm not a huge fan of just the t-shirts to just have their logo on them. I mean, just because of the hype around them, you kind of have to be like, you know, those are definitely a grail. But I like the tees that they are more creative with. For example, that one, it's not just their logo straight up. It's like an artistic representation of their logo. And they've done it on other occasions too. And those are the ones that really speak out to me. I mean, I definitely would not be paying $1,000 for a shirt. Like, some of the rarer ones have really cool graphics on their logo.
Like the Japan box
logo? Yeah, like the Japan relief or the, like, paisley.
Or the Arabic box logo.
Yeah, like, those are all ridiculously expensive.
Or, the Hebrew box logo,
and what I think would be cool about Supreme is if they were to make one, they don't have to make, like, their classic, like, white and red one or whatever, but if they just made a cool tee with the logo on it and mass-produced it, so... Just like 1 or 2 tees a season where everyone could have them if they wanted to.
Well, it's so iconic now. Like, even my dad knows about. Like, our parents know about Supreme, and it's really weird.
Yeah, my dad calls Yeezys Yeezys.
Yeah, and I think also it's interesting how long it's taken them to cultivate this image because, I mean, they were founded, 1994?
Yeah.
So,
They started really
as 23 years ago?
Yeah, they started off as a cult brand.
And they basically remained as a cult brand for, I don't know, a long time, probably 15 years.
Yeah, I definitely say they went big probably I would say middle to late 2000s.
I'd say, yeah, probably late 2000s, but they weren't even that big by then.
No, I mean they just defined their stuff still sold out, but you saw like these really like cool tees that are now super rare and limited, going for like anywhere from like $50 to like $300, and those tees now are going anywhere from like $500 to over $1,000.
Yeah.
Just because of how big it's blown up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think the biggest question is, what is in store for the future of streetwear and sneakers?
Well, I mean, like I've said, it's pretty hard to predict, but I mean, it could go really in two ways. It could go in a good direction or it could go in a bad direction. That really all depends on what you want out of streetwear. If you want, the most limited, most exclusive piece of clothing or a sneaker, then that's for you, right? But if you're just one of those people that just honestly enjoys the product and doesn't really care, like, if they have the most limited and expensive piece, but rather like the quality and just something they can really enjoy wearing, then that's another direction. So the two ways I really see it panning out is one way, a companies just decide they want to make a ton more money and start mass producing pretty much everything. And then that will even branch off to if they're going to keep their quality or just make shitty quality stuff like Jordan Brand does. And that would be for the people who want to just wear the clothes and don't want to have to pay $800 to buy something on the aftermarket. And then the other way is the brands want to keep their hype around them, so they'd pretty much end up just keeping with what they do and making the limited stuff that everyone wants even more limited, or just keeping it how it is. And I think both ways have their upsides and downsides, but if anything, streetwear culture and sneaker culture is definitely yours.